What exactly is the Myriad Sword's return to origin? It is a form of qi-based sword art, accidentally discovered by Bai Yunfei, a disciple of the Shushan school. It requires one's own internal energy to unleash a sharp, lethal blade aura. It can command 1,000 swords to fly in unison, or condense them into a single strike. A single blade thrust is as unstoppable as a bamboo splitter. 1,000 swords flying together is like a raging storm. Today, we unfold the story of a one-armed young man who rose from the ashes, reborn to master the Myriad Sword's return to origin. That man is Sword 12, one of the 7 great assassins of the Demon Lord. He can command 9 flying swords at once to strike down his enemies. He is the most fearsome assassin under the Demon Lord. He and his junior sister received orders to purge the troublemakers in Day City. Once their blades were drawn, almost the entire household was wiped out. Junior sister intended to finish off the remaining child and woman. However, they were stopped by Sword 12. No one has ever dared to defy the orders of the Demon Lord. By letting the two escape, 12 has surely invited a death warrant upon himself. He originally planned to take his junior sister and flee to the corners of the earth. Who would have known that other assassins from the Demon Lord would intercept them along the way? Even with 3 heads and 6 arms, he could not withstand so many top-tier killers. Even his beloved junior sister turned against him. She severed his arm on the spot. 12 glared at her with searing hatred. Then, wielding his last bit of internal energy, he rode his sword into the bottomless abyss. The next day, a quick-witted pretty girl was searching for birds' nests in the trees. She accidentally discovered 12 collapsed by the riverbank. She immediately dragged him home to treat his wounds. Her younger brother and sister teased her for picking up a wild man. The family was already too poor to afford a meal, and now, there was one more mouth to feed. Looking at their mother's sour cabbage soup, the siblings could hardly swallow. Yi went to the courtyard, intending to slaughter an old hen to nourish themselves. Unexpectedly, the creature seemed to have a spirit and knelt down, begging for mercy. Yi had no choice but to spare it for now. Having lost an arm, 12 began to give up on life. The Demon Lord was also preparing to send men to hunt him down. Junior sister had wanted to plead for 12, but she was nearly strangled to death by the Demon Lord. Whoever dares to disobey orders only meets one fate: death. A few months later, a frail 12 was dragged to the marketplace by Yi. She placed a broken bowl in front of him. He was now perfectly fit to play the part of a beggar. Before long, the bowl was filled with copper coins. Yi was not idle either. She used her charm to steal a pouch of gold. Her father, on the other hand, pretended to be a blind fortune teller. Just then, the ground shook with a thud. The people on the street vanished in an instant. It was the town bullies coming to collect protection money. They even carried the sword sheath that 12 had lost. Upon seeing its master, it automatically flew into his grip. The bully, however, was oblivious to this. Not only did he mock 12, but he also stomped hard on his hand. Yi marched over and unleashed a torrent of insults. Bullying a disabled man like this, you are no better than beasts. 12 was momentarily moved to tears. He prepared to draw his sword and play the hero saving the damsel, who knew that with a few swift moves, Yi handled the bullies herself. In the end, it was the beauty saving the stray dog. She pulled 12 away and fled the scene. They had not run far before a downpour began. As their eyes met, it felt like an electric spark. Yi quickly pulled out a sweet potato to distract from the awkward situation. Unexpectedly, 12 simply tossed it to the ground. Talk about returning kindness with cruelty. He had already started viewing his savior as an enemy. He suspected that the bullies on the street were specifically staged by Yi. Her goal was simply to test his background. Innocent Yi hurriedly waved her hands. What kind of agony could turn everyone into an enemy? In truth, one can't really blame him, because even his most beloved person betrayed him. It is only natural that he finds it hard to trust anyone now. Fortunately, Yi has already seen through his heart. She could only keep comforting him to help him step out of his past shadows. Sword 12 began to realize he had gone a bit too far. He walked over to apologize to her. Yi also revealed her true identity to him. It turns out she is the female thief wanted by the entire city. Though her martial arts are nothing to brag about, her escape skills are top-notch. They shared their hardships and true feelings, talking deep into the night. The next day, the local bully returned with his men to seek revenge. The little brother was tied up and used as a punching bag for the bully's amusement. Yi charged in, wielding a curved blade. Yet with the little brother being held hostage, she had no choice but to offer herself in exchange to save him. Seeing such a beauty fall into his grasp, The bully burst into raucous laughter. Suddenly, a durian flew through the air and struck him right in the gut. All they saw was a dark shadow flickering back and forth. The terrified bully turned tail and ran. Little did he know, Sword 12 was already behind him. The little brother seized the chance to knock him down. The bully's reinforcements charged in at that very moment. Sword 12 gestured with his fingers, and his sword flew from its scabbard. The flying sword darted back and forth with blinding speed. The bully's clothes were shredded on the spot. Almost scared out of his wits, the bully knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Actually, Sword 12 had no desire to escalate the fight, so he simply gave the sword sheath to the bully. The speed of Sword 12's technique soon aroused the suspicions of Yi Yi's family, because this kind of swordsmanship is a unique specialty of the demon sect. Mother worried that his sword aura would soon draw other assassins to their doorstep. To avoid trouble, they had no choice but to ask him to leave. Even after Yi Yi pleaded all night, she could not change her mother's mind. She could only run out to bid farewell to Sword 12. Meanwhile, the bully was still feeling bitter after his humiliating defeat, ready to gather his men to wash away the shame. Suddenly, a beautiful woman walked by. She was Snake Queen, the demon sect assassin. Transforming into a giant snake, she scared them half to death. Then, she threatened them into revealing Sword 12's whereabouts. At that moment, Sword 12 had changed into new clothes and was ready to depart. Seeing his handsome face, Mother felt as if she had encountered a deity. She was instantly love-struck and fell to the floor to show gratitude for saving her family's lives. Sword 12 prepared a feast as a token of thanks before leaving. Mother could not tell if she was more impressed by his cooking or his looks, but she insisted he stay on as their cook. This made Yi Yi overjoyed. Finally, she could gaze at the stars and the moon with her brother. The family happily made wishes upon the shooting stars. With Yi Yi's encouragement, Sword 12 quickly regained his confidence. The two became an inseparable pair, the envy of all. Little did they know, danger was silently creeping closer. Demon sect assassins had already set their sights on Yi Yi. Before even finishing their midnight snack, she had vanished. Following a waft of red smoke, Snake Queen appeared in the middle of the road. Sword 12 was also wounded by the toxic vapors inside. He could only seal his pressure points to protect his internal energy. 6 assassins descended from the sky. He hurriedly released sword aura to strike back, but alas, the assassins were protected by the golden bell armor. His sword aura could not even get within half a step. Sword 12 channeled his focus to merge his 9 swords into one. After waves of strikes against the golden bell barrier, it was finally shattered. Another assassin was also knocked into the water. He held his breath, trying to use the silkworm art to escape the strike. Sword 12 lunged, diving into the water to finish him off. Then, he pursued the kidnapper of Yi Yi using his sword skills. Snake Queen was incredibly stubborn, refusing to let her go until death. Using his shadow displacement technique, Sword 12 managed to rescue Yi Yi. The 2 female assassins launched a joint attack, but neither was a match for him. The junior sister seized the chance to play the emotional card, claiming his master was still at home waiting for his return. Sword 12 would never trust someone who had tried to kill him. Wounded, Snake Queen stood up with a cold laugh. "None of you are leaving here today." She then transformed into a giant serpent, letting out a roar as she morphed into a 9-headed monster. In the nick of time, the old hen from Yi Yi's home flew in. With a few pecks, she finished off the 9-headed snake. Sword 12 quickly took Yi Yi back home, only to find the demon lord waiting for him there. He immediately drew his sword to attack the demon lord. He seemed to have forgotten that the very sword techniques he used were taught by this monster, so it had no effect on him at all. Furthermore, his 7 kills demonic art was nearing the heavenly demon realm. To reach this realm requires severing all human emotions and desires. Even his own foster son would mean nothing to him. He prepared a strike to end Sword 12's life, but in the emergency, the father arrived in time to save him. The 2 veterans unleashed all their internal energy for a death match against the Demon Lord. Black smoke erupted, and the Demon Lord transformed into a giant ox-headed monster. The Shushan sword energy gathered, ready to strike. The 2 veterans revealed their true forms as Golden Boy and Jade Girl. It turns out the father was none other than Ba Yunfei of the Shushan sect, and the mother was Ran Qingchen of the Tianshan sect. Together, they unleashed Shushan sword energy and the Nuwa Heart Sutra against the Demon Lord. With one final blow, they forced him back. The Demon Lord left behind a promise to return, dissolving into smoke and vanishing before their eyes. The Golden Boy and Jade Girl reverted to their normal forms, but Sword 12 had suffered broken bones from the Demon Lord's attack. He might never stand again. Upon hearing this, Yi Yi burst into tears. However, the father promised to find a way to heal him. Finally, The mother revealed her true identity as well. She once was a disciple of the Tianshan sect, who had practiced the Nuwa Heart Sutra through shortcut methods, causing her to fall into demonic possession. The sect leader decided to eliminate her to cleanse the sect. Ultimately, Bai Yunfei of the Shushan sect arrived on a crane to save her. Failing to sway the sect leader, he used the myriad swords returned to origin to severely damage the Tianshan sect. Ever since, the two of them have lived in seclusion in the woods. They never expected to be forced back into the martial world because of Sword 12. Once the Demon Lord recovers, he will certainly return. The father decided to take the family and head to Penglai Island. However, as soon as his sword energy was released, it was discovered by the Shushan sect. The entire sect mobilized to capture the traitor, Bai Yunfei. The father knew the rules of Shushan all too well. There was no way they would let him go. So he once again unleashed the myriad swords returned to origin, a sea of blades sweeping over the Shushan disciples. Every time he unleashes this ultimate sword art, it severely drains his vitality. Still, risking it all, he managed to take his family safely to Penglai Island. Since the Shushan sect kept pursuing them relentlessly, Yi Yi stood her ground to hold them off. Just as it looked like she would be killed, the Shushan disciple was pierced through the body by a black claw. It was the Demon Lord who saved her. He then told Yi Yi a secret. She was not the biological daughter of Bai Yunfei and Ran Qingchen. Yi Yi frantically ran back to confront her mother. Seeing that the situation was no longer under control, mother could only reveal the truth. It all began 20 years ago. Back then, Ran Qingchen suffered from qi deviation while practicing the Nuwa Heart Sutra, leading her to massacre the entire Zhu household. Yi Yi was the only infant who survived. Now, no matter what, the past wrongs cannot be undone. She could only entrust the blade to Yi Yi to exact her revenge. Just then, the Demon Lord suddenly struck with a palm blast. Mother exhausted all her inner energy to block the lethal blow. Perhaps this was the last thing she could do for Yi Yi. Sadly, her inner energy eventually failed her, and she was struck down by the Demon Lord. The Arch-Fiend, wreathed in dark smoke, vowed to exterminate all orthodox sects. In the nick of time, Sword 12 awoke. He channeled his inner strength to launch a brush, piercing the Demon Lord's eyes. Mortally wounded mother breathed her last. Finally, father used his lifetime of cultivation to reshape 12's body. This allowed him to be reborn. He also taught him the myriad swords return to origin technique he had created, hoping he could defeat the fiend and avenge their family. To master this sword art, one must hold a resolute intention in one's heart. Only then can one gather spiritual energy from heaven and earth to command thousands of flying swords. Mastering the final stance allows one to ascend to the heavens as an immortal. However, Bai Yunfei did not wish for him to learn that final move, because there was still a family waiting for him to care for them. Several months later, 12 finally mastered myriad swords returned to origin. Riding a white crane, he headed toward the Demon Lord's stronghold. With a focused mind, he manifested 10,000 flying swords. They rained down like a storm upon the demonic disciples. They fell in droves in an instant. The one-eyed Demon Lord never dreamt that the assassin he had raised would be the one to end him at this very moment. Having witnessed the power of the myriad swords return to origin before, he had abducted Yi Yi earlier to use as his leverage. Master and disciple clashed for hundreds of rounds. Seeing that Yi Yi's life was in danger, 12 unleashed the myriad swords unified, condensing them into a giant blade, piercing straight through the Demon Lord's heart. Could the great Demon Lord really be this weak? Of course not. In reality, the Demon Lord intended to sacrifice his own heart to attain the highest realm of the 7 kills demonic art. The Demon Lord possessed the heavenly demon art, and 12 held the myriad swords returned to origin. The pinnacle sword techniques of the light and dark factions were put to the test. After hundreds of rounds, the mountain cavern crumbled under the sheer force of their sword chi. The two soared into the sky to continue their battle. The Demon Lord summoned a giant demonic claw in midair, attempting to crush 12 and Yi Yi. The white crane carried them to safety with agility. Finally, 12 shouted, "Swords, come forth!" In an instant, tens of thousands of swords gathered, attacking the Demon Lord like a howling gale. Yet, even with a storm of thousands of swords, not a single hair on him was harmed. 12 decided to unleash the final move. Myriad swords return to origin. My single will commands the myriad swords, capable of splitting the heavens, earth, and tossing mountains into the sea. With a thunderous cry, myriad swords returned to origin. The heavens were cleaved open. A massive, awe-inspiring giant treasure sword materialized in the void. This is the sword art of the celestial immortal realm. Even with his demonic arts, the Demon Lord could not withstand such devastating sword energy. At last, The giant blade slowly consumed him, putting an end to this vile and wicked demon lord. The couple, who had endured so many hardships, left the place atop the immortal crane. They sought to distance themselves from the turmoil of the martial world and find a peaceful place to live their lives. And so concludes the story of Myriad Swords Return to Origin. If you enjoyed this, please help us by following and liking the channel. Thank you for watching, and farewell.